My man, we're already live. Good, fantastic. Well, look, let me just go ahead and get right out the gate here. And I want people to know that the Logan County Jail here is enacting reprisals against detainees without explanation as to why. Not just myself, but the other detainees that I'm here with right now. We are allowed to place. We have commissary orders, but what good is a commissary order if they erase your orders or don't place them altogether? We're trying to investigate and figure out whether or not City Telecoin, City Telecoin, who's out of Bossier City, Louisiana, my hometown, if they are in fact not fulfilling orders, or if it is the jail administration here via Sheriff Jason Massey and Keisha Phelps. If they are canceling our orders. The gentleman who just walked behind me right there, he placed a $25 order yesterday, and he received only $1.25 worth of his order. I placed a $104 order for commissary items. It stays very cold in this jail. I ordered some sweatpants, and I ordered a long john shirt, and all of these items were removed. My $104 commissary order was reduced all the way down to $41. And I know people out there might be saying, well, don't do the crime, don't do the time. Let me go ahead and address that as well. I'm charged with a crime, number one. But secondly, just because you're inside here, it gives nobody, no person, no administrator, no government official any authority to act on their own accord to issue reprisals against detainees without explanation. We've got no written explanation, no verbal explanation as to why. And I would ask that the people, Veteran Liberty Network and our supporters, contact the Logan County Jail and inquire. I'd also ask that they would call City Telecoin in Bossier City, Louisiana, and ask them why they are charging the poor working class such extraordinary rates. These are issues of criminal justice reform that myself and others have been concerned with for a very long time, and it's why partly we're conducting investigative journalism into the operations of the for-profit criminal justice system. They are routinely denying religious rights accommodations. There is a fellow by the name of Richard Bates that I was here with, that I was in quarantine with, and he is Muslim. He has asked for a special dietary accommodation for his religious beliefs, and he was continued to be fed like the rest of us bologna and hot dogs. We asked the jail staff about this repeatedly, and this is a problem here that the corrections officers here, the more junior corrections officers, it seems to be as though they're intimidated into bringing anything forward to their chain of command. Now, I spent 20 years in the United States military, and I understand the chain of command. And if there are people inside your leadership that are acting outside the scope of their authority and their lawful authority and what they are allowed to do, that's a significant problem, and it's incumbent upon that junior personnel to take it to a higher authority. If that be the sheriff that's doing this, well, then this needs to go over to the mayor and to the city council and the people of the community of Logan, Paris, Arkansas, Boonville, these regions. We deserve to know why we're being punished and why these men are being punished unnecessarily. Let me go ahead and shift gears for a moment too. Want to give a shout out to my buddy James Kelly. Right, he's a magnificent guy out in New York. If y'all don't know James Kelly, he prepared an amicus publicity brief for me, and he had to submit it down to me a second time because they were withholding it from me. They kept it up in. They kept it. The jail administrator, I believe, had kept it. It's a very well put together brief and petition, as well as a press release from Veteran Liberty Network that says Governor Hutchinson rebels against the Constitution, and it begins with disabled and honorably discharged 20-year Navy veteran being handed to his political opponents. So I want to thank my team. I want to thank James Kelly, Ira Scott, Christine Sergant, my buddy Larry down in South Carolina, and they're not part of VLN. However, they are a part of individuals that are seeking to have me released. Hold on one second. Hey, Montana, come here. I want y'all to take a look at this gentleman right now. So this is a live feed on Facebook, right? I want you to hold up to the camera here. Show them. I want you to show them, right, your skin condition. Okay. This young man is off on us. No, maybe they won't. Um, he's been asking for days for medication. He made a reasonable accommodation to just get a different blanket. We have wool blankets in here. You can tell he's got a severe skin condition. This is eczema.
Yeah, psoriasis.
Psoriasis.
And it's just blistered because, well, I mean, I got a wool ass blanket. You know what I mean? And I've asked them for blankets. There's people in here that's got a different blanket, and I can't get one. They've told me twice today they was bringing soap and lotion. Still, they haven't brought it.
Yeah, how long you been in here now?
9 days.
9 days he's been in here.
I finally, yesterday, got just one medication approved, something that I'm supposed to have.
Yeah, you know? So it takes them a long time to approve pharmaceuticals or
Lauren Cowan.
Yeah, this is Lauren Cowan. He's from Logan County, Arkansas as well. Appreciate you, brother. This is a significant issue, right? And this is the part of the criminal justice system that so many people are complaining about. I've been getting sick myself. There's no, our diets are they're not diets. Okay, in accordance with their rules, their jail rules, they're supposed to have a dietitian who reviews their menus. They've been serving bologna and potato chips and hot dogs and potato chips for lunch and dinner for years. You understand what I'm saying? Years. We don't get any fresh vegetables. There's no greens. There's rarely fresh fruit. Once in a while, we'll get a handful of grapes or a handful of blackberries, and that is the extent of it. These are unacceptable conditions to do to people who their punishment is this is their punishment, right? But again, many of us, I'm charged with a crime. I'm not yet convicted of a crime. Where's the presumption of innocence? Okay, that's what I want to know. Why does America operate in such a function that we create these for-profit systems like this? This is a federal holding facility right here, so they will keep and have federal detainees here, and in large part, that's where they receive their federal dollars. I do believe that they're holding people longer than necessary so that they can collect those federal dollars. We've talked about the federal financial incentives that the courts and the system has to take our children and force us to, only see them every other weekend and pay child support so that they can justify their child support orders, which is what many people don't realize is how they're receiving federal funds into the states. States like Illinois. If y'all recall, a couple years ago, Attorney Michael Strauss was arguing in front of the Restorative Justice Committee, chaired by Representative LaShawn Ford, that if they passed an equal shared parenting bill, that the state stood to lose millions or even hundreds of millions of dollars in federal funding. Okay, they're literally using people. This is what human trafficking amounts to. A lot of these guys have been brought in here for just for a failure to appear in an FTA, even while courts were shut down or inoperational. One of the fellows over here, he wanted to be on the TikTok that we were making, and maybe you can clip this out, CJ, via screen record. But his priority that he said he'd like to see for criminal justice reform is to do away with and end the practices of suspending individuals' professional and personal licenses when they're behind on child support. One of the most saddest and most tragic cases that I've heard of is this fellow. He's asleep right now back here. A guy by the name of Chris Fleming, and his son was killed tragically whenever he was ran over on a dirt road, but he was behind on child support, and one of the reasons he kept getting ticketed for driving on a suspended was because he could not catch up with his child support. Reason why he couldn't catch up with his child support is that they felt that him not being in a tax-paying job where they could track every single penny that he was making, that was unacceptable to them, even though he was bringing in about $700 a week and providing for his son. It didn't matter. But that debt that was hung over his head for as long as it was and used to justify making his life tremendously difficult by continuously suspending his driver's license, causing him to lose employment, causing him to fall further and further behind on child support so that the states can collect interest. Now, thankfully, Arkansas did pass an equal shared parenting bill uh, just at, just this past year, the highest in the nation with its evidentiary standard at clear and convincing. And so Arkansas is at least making progression, far more so than other states in regards to respecting the equality that fathers should be shown in family court, and even mothers who are being reduced down to non-custodial visitors to their children. So those are positive advances here in the state of Arkansas. Um, we got 4 minutes. Uh, yeah, I believe that the jail administrator, Keisha Phelps, I think that I do believe that that person largely is responsible for, because she's in charge of the jail, right? And she functions as a gatekeeper. So absolutely, yeah, I do believe that, and I would believe that if a Freedom of Information Act request was sent to the Logan County Jail and the people inquired as to how many grievances are filed by inmates and how those grievances are handled, I think that the people would be astonished at the amount of due process violations that are ongoing. They are completely blocking access to the courts. If you, I want you to try putting yourself in the position, if you cannot afford an attorney and you decide you're going to try your best to represent yourself. Okay, now, imagine yourself being, you don't have a college degree. Many people in these circumstances, they might not have even graduated from high school. Okay, and then you got to function as your own attorney inside an institution like this. Okay, it's there's no quiet places here. There's no ability to really retreat and to focus and to spend time and effort and energy on your case. You're denied basic resources. Oh yeah, oh yeah, they gave him some dandruff shampoo for his. They gave him some dandruff shampoo for his,
That's awful nice of them, wasn't it?
which might even exacerbate.
Mighty wide open.
But yeah, there we go. Yeah. These are the types of responses that we have here, and criminal justice reform is badly needed across this country. Veteran Liberty Network is one of the very few networks I believe that will extensively cover this. And, thankfully for our network, you've got somebody on the inside telling you how it really is, because I'm here. Yeah. If you guys would like to, if there's more questions and people want to continue, uh, go ahead and do that. Yeah. Um, yeah. And then that same fellow right there, he doesn't have any socks. Now, they were kind enough to give me a pair of socks whenever I first came in here, but typically they won't do that. They typically you're going to have to order it out of commissary. Well, these are basic supplies that people need inside here. You don't have any underwear, okay? Normally they don't give you any socks. They don't typically they won't give you a T-shirt like this. I believe that the reason why I got these is whenever I was first booked in, my cell was the closest to the outside door. So as they were coming in and out, the officers would come in and out, bringing people in and what have you, into booking. uh, the cold night air would come in underneath my door, and the next morning my feet were bluish purple, and they were kind enough after I begged to get a T-shirt and some socks. Right, this fellow's been here. The one that showed you his skin condition. He's been here 9 days, and he has no socks. It is cold inside here. Our blankets are cut really short. They're not very big blankets whatsoever. I'm 6'2", almost, just shy of, and for a person of my size, it's extremely difficult to stay covered at nighttime. You have to remain in the fetal position. Yeah, in regards to, yeah, no, I don't, no, I don't feel any, no, no, yeah, so do I feel any hostility from any of the inmates? No, absolutely not. All of the inmates here have been very kind to me. They've been very respectful. Um, we are men who are cooped up inside of a concrete wall with concrete floors. And so, sometimes tensions can run high, and oftentimes we believe that those are deliberately created and exacerbated by, they say that they have no control over the temperature inside here. When men become very, very uncomfortable, men or women, you become very uncomfortable. You're in close quarters. There's not It's not very hygienical, if you will. Um, and then their morale suffers, especially when they can't get through to like a public defender. There's been men in here, took him 3 weeks. Chris Fleming took him 3 weeks to get in touch with and speak to his public defender. And by the time he speaks to her, she says, "Well, you shouldn't even be in there anyway. But by the time I file a motion on your behalf, your court date's going to be here, so there's no point in it." Almost as though deliberately not taking calls, knowing and understanding full well, right? If you're a public defender, are you telling me that you don't have a docket, you don't have a sheet of all of the litigants that you're supposed to be defending and assigned to you, and then for them to sit for 3 weeks before you finally talk to the individual on the phone and then tell him, well, if I file a motion on your behalf anyway, well, it's kind of a moot point now, because by the time we get in front of the judge, or by the time the motion gets in front of the judge, you're going to be at your court date anyway. Again, I believe that these are patterns and practices that are maybe some form of a tattletale to say that they're in on a system that's going to make and collect federal dollars while they have inmates incarcerated. Well, no, I have not. Does that possibility always exist? Absolutely. Yeah, I do apologize. Yeah, has my food been spiked or tampered with in any kind of way? I do not know. There's no way that I could confirm that. What I can tell you is that many of us in here experience significant gastrointestinal issues because of the lack of diversity in our diet, and due to a lot of the symptoms and pains that we have here. So our dietary needs are a really important one. I mean, if you want, a lot of people have undiagnosed mental and emotional health issues, right? Number one, they're not getting and receiving any psychiatric or emotional care inside here. Number two, your diet significantly impacts your mood, right? Our gut and our gut health is so vitally important, especially to those who struggle with major depressive disorder, like what I do. Now, um, uh, I've been very upfront, been very public that I have utilized cannabis in an effort to manage the major depressive disorder that I was diagnosed with from back in 2014. And of course, being put into jail, you're cut off cold turkey. And like a lot of other men here who are put into jail, um, they're severed from their access to whatever medicines that they choose to utilize. I choose not to use pharmaceuticals and opiates uh, because I had so many friends who did commit suicide, and many of them had been on those pharmaceuticals prescribed by the military, prescribed by the Veterans Administration, and I chose, to use a more organic route, utilizing cannabis. Arkansas does have a medical cannabis here, yet equal protection is not provided to myself as an individual, and I believe that that's a problem. Um, Now, have I requested through my jail administration to have access to medical cannabis? I have not. Uh, I think that it's safe to say we would all know what that answer would be. So, My old friend Naomi. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I would ask that y'all continue to contact the governor's office of Arkansas and ask for a recall of his warrant, as well as the governor of Illinois, and ask for a recall of that warrant. Those are two significant pieces that y'all could do. I would ask that any of you that are able and willing to please contact the heads of the Disabled American Veterans Association, the Veterans of Foreign War, and the American Legion. I would ask that you just go straight to the top. But if you have a contact or a network that you could utilize to get to these individuals, uh, I have to say, look, just human being to human being. Okay, I'll try and look here at the camera. Human being to human being, people like me are deprived of our children for years at a time. It does significant mental and emotional damage to us. We are human beings. At the end of the day, we're only human beings. We're not robots. We're not machines. We can only go so long without seeing and speaking to our families and having meaningful access to our children. It is something that is so vitally important. I mean, our United States Supreme Court and Congress and state Supreme Courts have upheld over and over and over again that as a government, they are supposed to protect that fundamental family interest of mother and father and child. Yet so many of us are discriminated against. And if we are whistleblowers and we say something about the unfair treatment that we are receiving, then we are punished. It is not for them to punish us because these are just basic human rights we're being deprived of. I'm allotted one letter a month to my children, Caden and Kaylee. One letter a month. That was before I was in jail. That was the ruling that came down from Judge Janelle Christensen, who had to recuse herself when this case began, whenever my criminal charges were levied at me. Um, all of these institutions should be investigated. There should be more transparency as it pertains to our jails, to our court systems, to our judges. There should be more fairness and due process there. You cannot expect people, who have limited to no educations to adequately defend themselves against a licensed practicing attorney like a prosecutor or a county attorney who's been doing it for many years. But when somebody like myself can read the Uniform Criminal Extradition Act and understand that whenever I challenged the legality of my arrest here on December 13th, when they first served me with the governor's warrant on my check-in, they should have taken me, in accordance with the UCEA and the Arkansas statutes, they should have taken me forthwith in front of a judge who should have then set a reasonable amount of time for me to prepare a writ of habeas. And the way that I had to go about doing it was that because they were denying me access to the court, the Logan County Court does not even have a case number for me, so I couldn't even file a motion into my case. There was no ability for me to file anything into my matter and ask for these things. These are 14th Amendment violations, and the 14th Amendment is intended to protect your due process rights as it pertains to the states. The unconstitutional bail that was set for me, $500,000, right? I'm a retired Navy veteran. I held a top secret clearance. I was a reserve sheriff's deputy, and I'm working on building a nonprofit to save veterans' lives and save their family members' lives and to protect their interest. I really don't care what people feel as it pertains to my guilt or my innocence. The fact of the matter is that I would never be in this predicament. We would never be in this circumstance had my rights, my civil rights, basic human rights to my children been protected from the beginning, and those who were violating that, had they been held accountable from the beginning, I would never be here right now today. But the fact is that I am here, and for what it's worth, I'm going to take advantage of that. And I'm glad that I am here. I am a journalist. I'm an investigative journalist who happens to be incarcerated because he's got his own family law court case being denied access to his children. To my family, my supporters, look, my girlfriend Sarah, she has been a godsend to me. She's absolutely amazing. She works tirelessly. She stays on the phone. She already works 12-hour shifts, but she just stays on the grind, working to seek my release. And that's what a demonstration of true love. That's what it looks like. You go out of your way to help free your loved one, to set things right. And my team with the Veteran Liberty Network, my good buddy James Kelly, who drafted this amicus brief. Um, you know, uh, these are the people that we need more of. We need more of you involved with this. We can change the system. We can change things for the better, but we have to believe in ourselves. We have to believe in one another, and we have to be willing to get outside of our comfort zone and challenge what's happening in this country. We can make a difference. If the people want better, we can get better. I promise you that. My mother, she's she's starting chemo and radiation again. And so, for those of you who can, please continue to lift up my mother in prayers. If you're able to help her out, I do. I send her money to help her out with, to have a healthy diet and good foods. If you can do that, I would greatly appreciate that. My mother has helped to care for elderly relatives over the last couple of years, and she doesn't really get paid to do that. But that's really been her job, and she does not have a steady source of income. My family does live in impoverished conditions, and yeah, you know, some of that is by choice, but it's also by necessity to help, take care of elderly family members that are struggling. And these things aside, my children, I miss you very much. I hope that y'all remain strong through all of this. If you can see this, Caden and Kaylee, Dad loves you, and I miss you. There's letters coming your way, so I pray that you get those letters, and that I'm able to hear back from you, because I could really stand to hear from my children, and to know how y'all are doing. Um, I'm very proud of y'all for remaining strong through all of this, and yeah, I guess that's about it. You know, 50 seconds, far away. Yeah, they can. So just yes, they can mail me. So I think CJ or somebody else, they can put up the Logan County Jail's information, and if it's a letter or something to that interest, what they'll do is it'll get here, and they scan it in, and it kind of shows up on this monitor or a tablet for us to look at. So, all right. Anything else? All right. Hey, thanks for the update. We'll check in again tomorrow at what, 9 a.m. All right, 9:30 tomorrow. So, love y'all. Thank you so much for your help.